now I'm overweight.
I can't steal the ship.
What's next? It's my ship.
Wait. I would stay here, but there's only one cannon on one
Just
side.
jump over. You
Come on, jump.
No, no!
I know you jumped over.
I just kept on jumping. You do have ladders, right? Finally.
I was gonna go off and show you how to do it.
Yeah. Hello, my cutie pumpkins, and welcome to, you guessed it, another episode on our Road to 10 Billion journey. And yes, I meant our, because apparently from the comments on the previous episode, some of you are actually interested to join in on this adventure. So I thought, this might turn out to be an interesting idea. So let's do this. Anyone who is interested to join in on this supposed adventure, I will link in the description my Discord server. You can send there some screenshots, let's say a couple at the start of the week and then maybe one or two at the end, showing your main bank. Just keep it brief and I will try to include as many of them as possible at the end of every episode, I suppose. Maybe it turns out to be an interesting idea, maybe not, let's see. That being said, let's begin this episode with, I guess, roll the intro.
Yeah, if you get here early, you might hear the audio. If not, due to some reasons, it might be muted, so please check episode number 0 for full intro. Yeah, roll the intro.
So, 2 minutes in and I still didn't talk about anything. Great. Let's get started, I suppose. My week begins on Saturday and it ends on Saturday. That's going to be a full week's progress, and starting off, I guess, with Saturday, I began pretty casually. First off, on Saturday I did 8 hours of AFK fishing. Actually that was overnight. I woke up, I sold all of the fish on Altinova. I actually went all the way there, spent like 11 minutes going there, made about 2.7 millions. I do have the nodes connected, the Termi and Water Park nodes, so that was very nice. Got about 33 octopus or octo thingies from this overnight fishing process. And after that I returned back to fishing because I was just simply that lazy. Spent another about 2 hours fishing. You can check the whisper chat if you want exact times. I'm not going to bother with exact numbers because hey, let's keep this somewhat fun. Of course, after these about 2 hours fishing, somehow I managed to get another 11 octo thingies in only 2 hours, so that was nice. This time I traded them in Duodecil because I was too lazy to go all the way to Altinova. Got about 500,000 silver just from the fish plus the octo thingies, so I would say pretty nice for a fishing session. After that was done and I was feeling like doing something productive for the day, I stored in my wagon the relics and the octo thingies, and then I bought some beer, some pet food. Not gonna really bother with the expenses because it's just small stuff, and I logged into my wizard to actually do a little bit of grinding. So I started with Ronaros first off on the Arsha server because I was interested to see if the drop rates are better. Sadly, didn't even spend 12 minutes grinding there. Actually, I spent about 12 minutes grinding there, and I already got PK'd by a warrior because Arsha servers. Didn't really feel like returning to fight him again, so I switched servers, and then I grinded about 1 more hour at the Ronaros forest until my armor was starting to break. At which point I decided it's okay enough for a session. I'm going back to Cama Silvia to store everything in the bank and do something else because grinding is boring. I killed about 1800 monsters in that 1 hour and 12 minute session, so there's that. Not really the best clearing speed ever, but meh. Now that I said and there's that, you can feel free to quote me in the comments. Actually, I meant to say Grana earlier and not Cama Silvia, but you are smart enough, you already got the point. There's so much written in my notes, so much happened this week that I feel like I should go a little bit slower, but in the same time if I do that, there's no way I'm going to fit everything in 15 minutes of video. Maybe I'm just going to split this into 2 parts and take this slower at my own pace. In any case, my Saturday began pretty casually, as I said, just fishing and 1 hour of grinding, at least until the evening came when it was time to start a guild event, an event for which I did sign up and I am very happy I did, because it turned out to be probably the funniest thing or event I've participated in a pretty long time, and it was the sea monster hunting part. You already saw it at the beginning of the video. Before leaving for this trip, I did buy one traveler's map in case I needed to escape the ship and teleport somewhere. I now realize that if I were to use the traveler's map, I would have ended up on a random island with no ship and no means to return, maybe to the main land. So I bought it for nothing, but anyway. Also I brought with me 500 timbers to process them into ship repair materials in case the ship gets damaged, and it did, and I did have to use some of them. Hello there, random player with a weird sign up. Let me join in on your fun and put my own sign up. So yeah, in the evening, after most of the participants showed up, we left for the sea monster hunting trip. It was my first time ever doing sea monster hunting, so I didn't know what to expect. I even brought with me the musket, or the weapon that you use to shoot sea monsters, I suppose. I didn't end up using it because I was sitting on the boat on the cannon the entire time, so there's that. There's that. This entire trip was about 1.5 hours, and it was actually pretty short from what in my guildie's words. He said usually these trips are between 2 and 4 hours, and I was mainly interested in getting a new experience and seeing what I can get in terms of personal gains, as in what drops the items have, if they give silver, if there is any form of personal profit. Nice blocking. I later learned, or actually pretty early, that this is only done for guild funds, and that some guilds actually pay their members for this in terms of guild payouts, as a form of guild activity, I guess. And yeah. Oh, we can shoot the other ship.
Yeah.
Shoot me.
I did get a payment. I'm not sure if it was only from the sea monster trip. I got 8 millions. You will see them somewhat later in the video. But again, I'm not sure if it was my entire week's payout or just from this trip. Nevertheless, it was fun. I was in the Discord chat the entire time, so I'm probably not going to put that on the video, but in terms of an event, I would probably do it again if I had a chance. At the end of the day, after returning back to the mainland, I just prepared my rod for a long night of AFK fishing, because it was the end of Saturday and I was going to sleep. So yeah, let's move on into Sunday. This was the day when I decided it's about time to move all of those trash crates, and yes, it is a lot of them, as you saw from the banks on the previous episode. When I woke up, I had about 7 hours of overnight fishing. I got this time only 19 octo thingies in my inventory. I'm not sure if being on the Arsha server actually helps with the Termian water park drops, but maybe it does. You probably realize I didn't fish 7 hours. My rod broke probably a long time ago. I mean a long time before those 7 hours, but still. I traded in again the fish in Heidel and I did my Term Another Park events because I couldn't be bothered to move the fish anywhere besides Heidel because it's close. I bought some horse gear for my secondary horse, which later I'm going to dump, but I bought gear for it. I just felt like mentioning it. I also bought some of the food materials to make Kron seafood, just because I was out of those and I will need them later on. And before moving the crates, that actually happened later on down the day, I started to first cook some beer because I needed beer to feed my workers. I had a lot of utensils on my Berserker anyway, so it was about time to use those as well. My first session actually went really good. I cooked for about 15 minutes until I didn't even cook for 15 minutes. I fell asleep at some point and then woke up like 7.5 hours later because that was my, I guess, full time day sleep. I don't know. Somehow I woke up about 8 hours later and decided, okay, let's continue the cooking and proceed as if I didn't fall asleep. After spamming for however many hours, maybe about 4 hours, cooking over and over, I ended up with about 17,000 beer and I believe 1,200 byproducts, which turned out to be enough CP to get me to 309. I think 3 or 4 points I got that time, so quite a nice session, I guess, of cooking. After I was done with all of that, finally it was time to move the crates. At first I didn't know how to optimize the crate moving process. It was pretty much my first time doing it, so I just made sure to have as much weight as possible or just a reasonable amount of weight limit, and I manually moved a lot of crates on my horse. I believe at that time when I started it was also about 77 crates at a time to move from my bank into my inventory and then into the horse and repeat the process over and over, and this takes about 10 minutes for the iron crates, and for the easier crates, the mushroom ones, takes about 5 minutes to fill the entire horse with 7.1 thousand crates. The first moving process, I just simply filled the horse, then I got on the horse and I moved it manually all the way to Valencia. And I actually autopathed through the bandits area. My horse nearly died, and also in the desert my horse nearly died again. So my first trip wasn't really optimized at all. I was about to lose the entire crate, as I said twice. But yeah, at the end it turns out, from my screenshot at least, that it took me about 1.5 hours to move the horse, to fill it from Calfian, move it to I believe Valencia or Adhaza, whichever one, and then return back to Calfian running on foot, so not really optimal. For the second horse, I decided to move this one on my striker, because I already had 2 horses in Valencia moved from a long time ago, back when we still had the command to gather option available to move crates. So with the first one moved now on my ranger, I had 3 out of 3 stable spaces. So I thought, why not move this one on striker and leave the striker there with the horse to stay there indefinitely until I trade the horse in. So I took the field horse, filled it on my ranger, and I started moving, and yeah. Yeah, that happened. I can safely say that it's not a good idea to not pay attention to the road when you're moving 7,000 crates. I was trying to set the autopath, but my horse just decided, like a suicidal maniac, to walk forward and jump off the cliff. I would say I feel bad for losing about 7,000 crates, but when you have so many of them, it's not... Actually, who cares? Those could have been profit, so I do care that I lost trading experience and probably a lot of money. But in any case, I went back to Calfion, picked up another field horse by my ranger, gave it to my striker, and this time, instead of going through the bandits side and risking to kill this horse again, I decided to go to the Bazaar, to the Bazaar area, and then just walk straight from there to Valencia through the desert. I think it's somewhat faster than circling around the bandits area, maybe not. After moving these two horses in such a sloppy way, I finally learned the proper way to move them, or at the very least, a more efficient way to move the horses from a guildie, which is to use the battle arena. I know someone left a comment on my patch notes video asking what does the battle arena have to do with moving crates. Well, it turns out that maybe it's a cheat, maybe it's just, it's a bug that it isn't fixed yet, probably. So using the battle arena, you can transport horses with crates a lot easier to wherever you want, because you can teleport the horse inside the battle arena. So that's something I wasn't ever going to think of on my own. So the most natural thing to do was to pick up the killed horse by my striker, refill it with the same type of crates, not the same amount because I didn't have enough left to fill it again to maximum, and then I proceeded to use this method, which simplified basically means you fill the horse, and then when you want to transport it, you teleport inside the battle arena, but right as you press enter to be teleported, you also stay next to your horse and you press R to get on your horse, and if you get the timing right, you will be teleported inside battle arena with the horse. And then basically you get out, you run on foot all the way to Valencia, and then repeat the process again to take the horse out of the battle arena. And yes, this is actually faster because the entire process of running from Calfion all the way to Arehaza takes, or Arehaza or Valencia, I'm not sure which, I believe Arehaza, takes about 35 minutes. So also with filling the horse. So the entire process of filling the horse and moving it to Arehaza takes about 35 minutes, and then another 25 to go back, or 20, maybe about 1 hour in total. Let me know if talking in so much detail is the right approach, or if I should just tone it down and compress it so that I can fill in like 20 minutes an entire week, but this time I will split this into 2 parts, and for now let's just end Sunday and I can continue the rest on episode 3. So for the rest of my Sunday, after learning of this miraculous method that saves me time, I moved another 2 horses using the exact same method. Took me about 2.5 hours to move those, so slightly more than 1 hour each. I kind of went AFK and arrived, sometimes I arrived in the Bazaar City and I was just simply AFK and stayed there for 5 minutes doing nothing. So maybe that's why it took longer. I should have mentioned that to make this easier, you can just simply set the autopath to Bazaar and then put something heavy on your shift key, and your character is going to automatically sprint while you can AFK for like 12 minutes, the time it takes to get from Calfian to Bazaar. So there's that, another there's that. After these 2 horses, I proceeded to do some enhancing because I wanted to get the trader's clothes. I spent in total around half an hour and 36 millions trying to get the +3 trader's clothes, doing a lot of fails, and sadly I did not get the +3 clothes. I ended up with just +2, which I guess it's fine. I'm losing some trading experience. Maybe I will try later to get the +3 again, but for now that's what I have. At the end of the day, I didn't move any more horses after those 2. I have at this point in total I have 3 out of 3 in Valencia, 3 out of 3 in the Arhaza city, plus 1 more on Striker. That makes 7 horses sitting ready to be traded in. So I went back to the Thermian water park to do some more AFK fishing and end the day. And also this is when I opened my Kamasilve blessing, a decision which now I regret because I wasted most of it. So that's the end of my Sunday. That's what I did so far. I want to make these videos at somewhat of more consumable length. 20 minutes is as far as I would go probably. So I will see you guys in part 3. At least I can edit it and upload this one faster, the first part, the episode 1. And maybe in 1 day or less I can record and edit the rest of it. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it.
I would appreciate some feedback. Let me know if you want to see this format, if I should change it, if I should talk less, if I should, I don't know, just feedback is nice to see because there are many ways I can present this. How should I end it? I don't know. Usually people ask for likes and stuff like that, and how do I do that without sounding like I'm begging for them? I know, I will just put it on the screen. So yeah, see you in part 3.